لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله ما لنا.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ahmed, and this is
Shafiq.
and we are here today to review the DC Hidayah 2011. So basically, DC Hidayah is a regional conference that a bunch of youth in the DMV area started up together. They found that there was a lack of Islamic interest, there was a lack of Islamic knowledge and entertainment in the DMV area. So last year was their first year of this conference. They invited a bunch of speakers, alhamdulillah. I think one of them was Yusuf Estes last year. And this year they invited speakers including Shakil Humayun, Okasha Kamini, Safi Khan, and last but not least, Eddie from the Dean Show. He was there. He did a live show on stage. He interviewed Safi Khan and Shakil Humayun. It was awesome, alhamdulillah.
First, we didn't talk about how we got there. We came from Norton, Virginia, so we took the metro there, and it was pretty fun.
We had actually a nice experience on there because the second day I was wearing the Saudi Arabian clothes, you know, those Arabs out there, you know what I'm talking about. And I was walking around the metro, you know, all eyes were on me that day. You know, they were forgetting all the sisters with the hijabs. They were looking at me, the guy with the dress. But, you know, it was, alhamdulillah, you know, we got the word out there. You know, we weren't scared. We had this Muslim identity. I think both of us did.
Yeah, like we learned, it was a form of dawah. If people remember Allah from looking at you, then it is a form of dawah. If they remember God from just looking at a person, you know, it's a good thing. So we just went there, and we were actually late, like a typical Muslim people, but they did start the event late because they knew all Muslims are late.
You know, they remember to convert to Islamic time. You tell them 10, they come here at 10:45. But, you know.
Yeah, that's how it was. So we got there, and we didn't know, but we sat in the middle. I guess the middle was supposed to be for families, like with women and men, like all together, but they had the left for men, right for women, and the middle for the families. We got there, it wasn't that much packed the first day, I would say. Second day, it was, you know, it had a lot of people, alhamdulillah, and the seating was pretty good.
So the topic of this year's conference was Allah and God we trust. As soon as we got there, we noticed that there were two speakers up there, and they were actually American students who went over to, was it Medina University?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Medina University in Medina to get their Islamic studies. I mean, one of them was a convert. He had reverted back to Islam, and he had made that travel for Allah and Allah alone. He talked about his experience. They actually had about a 15 or 20-minute talk about what exactly it is to trust in Allah, what tawakkul is, and that's the Arabic word for trust. So after the two students talked about their quest for ilm, for Islamic knowledge, two speakers came up. One talked about divine design, what it means to know Allah. The second one talked about a royal proclamation of love. He talked about what it means to love Allah. How do you do it? He talked about how actions speak louder than words, basically, like just saying that you believe in Allah or just declaring the shahada, you know, ashhadu anna la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna muhammadan rasulullah, doesn't necessarily just make you a Muslim. It comes with it sincerity to Allah. There comes with it actions to support that faith, that, you know, the words that come out of your mouth. Those two speakers, alhamdulillah, I mean, I guess it was, they stayed on topic, but they were a little too straight to the point. They kept it a little, maybe a little dumbed down for, you know, all those people who aren't too fluent in the English language. But moving on. So next was Dhuhr prayer. It was around 1 o'clock, 1:30. They had the Dhuhr and the Bazaar break together. Speaking of the Bazaar, they had about 50 vendors there. MashaAllah, like the vendors there, they were amazing. I mean, they had one that was selling Islamic books. There was another one selling Islamic clothes. A bunch of them selling Islamic clothes. Others were doing donations. There was one, the Zakat organization was there, which was it's a worldwide international funding organization that goes into poor countries and basically helps them get back on their feet, at least some areas of it. There was just a bunch of that, and mashallah, you felt like a true Muslim. You had your identity walking around in that bazaar area, looking at all the Muslims there, seeing how they interact with each other. Uh, Putting that aside, when everybody came to pray Dhuhr, first of all, they didn't do any announcements about where they did tell us it was downstairs in the room downstairs, but I mean, when everybody went down there, they didn't have the room split up for men and women.
Yeah.
Men and women were walking through the same doors. They were taking off their shoes next to each other.
Yeah.
Everything was in confusion. They didn't even know where the Qibla is.
But we finally did get, everything organized, and it did turn out to be a good prayer with a great number of people, with a great number of Muslims. Alhamdulillah.
The only other thing about that, though, was that the carpet there, I mean, that room was basically used, probably every other day for different conferences. People walking in with their shoes. You don't know what people dragging in their dogs. You don't know, you know what I'm saying? And you're there to pray. You're putting down your head on that carpet. You're putting down your head on that carpet. You want that carpet to be clean. You want that carpet to be clean. You don't want your forehead touching dog,
Yeah, he's right.
So we were I think a lot of Muslims were kind of a little agitated that it wasn't the first thing on their mind. I mean, they should have concentrated on the prayer area where these Muslims are going to pray. They should have concentrated on, finding the Qibla, finding the right room, at least, providing tarps to spread on the floor so we don't put our heads down on dirty carpet. But, I mean, alhamdulillah, we don't want to sound like we're complaining or anything. They did a fine job. Okay, personally, my favorite speaker of the whole event was Shakil Humayun. First of all, because he had an awesome name, Shakil. Second of all, he had the most awesome beard I have ever seen. It was perfect form, and if I ever had a beard, it would look like that, inshallah. Third of all, I think he was just a very powerful speaker. Like, when he got up there, he took control. Like, everybody was quiet. Even the kids, they were making any sound. He had a powerful voice. And he really knew what he was talking about. He would use Quranic verses at the right time. Like, if he was talking about a certain topic, he would just inject a certain Quranic verse, and it just clicks. Like, you're like, oh my God, that just makes so much sense. There was this one guy during the Deen show, during the filming of the Deen show, where Eddie went out and he asked a non-Muslim. He was looking for one non-Muslims. A non-Muslim asked him a question. He answered his question real quick, and then he was like, let me ask you a question. Why aren't you a Muslim? So, he was really fun to hear talk. He was joking around the whole time. So that was really my favorite speaker.
All right. For me, I liked the second day a little bit more because I thought I learned a little bit more. And off the Imams on the second day, I liked Okasha K. I liked him, first of all, he came out really strong. He came out strong. He was loud. He was confident. And even with that, to back him up, I mean, this guy memorized the Quran. He memorized Sahih Bukhari, Muslim, and other hadith books. Like, he came, he was backed up by his knowledge. And he came out. He was also funny. He made some jokes. It was kind of nice to see someone speaking that's not really like Arab, Paki.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
He
was West African. That's
West
what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
But in conclusion, the conference was a great success. Like, it was, everybody enjoyed it fully. I think even, the kids had, a lot of fun. I think everybody learned at least something coming out of that. What I learned was that the youth, this year has been so crazy. Just the revolutions in Egypt and putting politics aside. It's just the youth can do something when they put their mind to it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put so many examples in the Quran of youth doing something with their lives that adults could never do. From the youth of the cave, story of Joseph in the Quran. That's just a few examples of how the youth can stand up to whatever they want to bring down, or they can influence so many people.
For me, I also I compliment all the staff. The youth just bringing it out there, representing. Most of them, I guess, they were from Maryland. A lot of Muslims came from Maryland. So just representing, showing that just because like for me, it was actually like say the first time I saw really good Muslim youth, and they were pretty actually, they were knowledgeable, and what I also learned going into this event, it kind of changed me as a Muslim. It made me a better Muslim. What I learned was, it's just for me, since I saw these youth striving so much. I never saw youth in America striving so much for their religion. So for me, it kind of gave me a little motivation. So I came back from it, but that motivation is still with me.
This is our inspiration. That conference was our inspiration to, inshallah, start up this channel. We are the strangers, inshallah, till the day of judgment. Islam came strange. We will go out strange. And so, alhamdulillah, I hope you guys like this video. So, in the words of Eddie from the Deen Show, we start with peace and we end with peace. Assalamu alaikum
Wa rahmatullahi
wa barakatuh.
غفرانا نسألك وأنت الأسماء